Welcome. I realize I always say all right, ladies. Here's this thing. Welcome.
Do you know how you end every episode?
Huh?
Do you know how you end every episode?
Awkwardly. But welcome to A for Work Podcast with Chip Boys, Russ Pass, Peach, and Walden. All three of us, 2 weeks in a row, are here again.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Russ Pass, how you doing, bud?
I am fantastic. You've not told people what episode it is, so they're so lost.
Well, I'm also lost, because are we on 33?
Yes, we are. That's why I had to look up before we started.
Okay, thank you. 33, the number where I scored my first three-pointer for SJA. No big deal. Peach, how you feeling today?
Not too bad. Got a full bag of Halloween candy.
That's going to make great audio. That is going to make great audio.
Oh, real crinkly, individually wrapped candy.
And speaking of candy, we have a treat of an episode for everyone.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah. That's how you do it. That is how a professional works, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you consider this a treat or not. I'm excited for it. I love these episodes. By our downloads, we're not exactly sure how you, the audience, feels about them. But we figured we'd give this another try again.
Well, here's a crazy thing about these special episodes, right? And you haven't even announced what it is, but people know. They read it, right? We had an episode about a milestone. And it hit a milestone because it's downloading as badly as the other Peach Pits. This might be the worst downloaded show other than a Peach Pit. So thank you for those that.
Well, there you go. Now you just ruined it. We're doing a Peach Pit episode. Is this Peach Pit for the Kevin James edition?
Now I gotta find it. Gotta find a movie. What's the movie the fourth one?
The Peach Pit, Episode 4, A New Peach.
Fantastic
Yes.
Four?
I was going to say New Peach. No, because you're not fantastic.
Wow.
They
Yeah,
They haven't made 4 of them yet, have they?
What, Fantastic Fours?
Yes.
Yeah, they probably rebooted it 4 times.
Nah, they've only... there's the modern ones, but...
I was going to say there's only technically 3 of them anyway, right? There was only 2 of the original. Wasn't it Silver Surfer was the second one, right?
Yeah. And then that terrible remake.
Yeah.
Fantastic 4%.
Yeah. No, but we're doing a Peach Pit now that we're done talking about comic books and comic book movies.
I don't understand why people don't download these episodes.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, Peachy. The idea came up is because you were away from the show for so long that we, Mike and I think rightfully assumed you were just going through and researching every wrestling statistic, watching matches, calling Meltzer, getting his opinion on stuff. We figured that's what you were doing while you were gone. Are we correct in that assumption?
No.
That's, ladies and gentlemen, that's the quality you expect from Paperwork Podcast.
This
What
will
was the
be
last
called the
pay-per-view?
Peach Pit and the Goblet of Fire. All right.
I don't know if we can actually use that for copyright reasons.
Well, they're going to be mad because I've done it for each Peach Pit up to this point.
Oh, okay. They've all been called Goblet of Fire?
They've all been named after movies.
Oh, okay.
I think people don't
Peach,
listen to them because they want wrestling, and then there's a movie title.
So this is your fault why they do so bad.
You're welcome.
Peach,
what was the last pay-per-view?
WWE, I'm assuming you're talking about?
Yes.
God, I don't even know.
Didn't we watch
So I
it
probably
while we
watched
did
the one
episode?
before the last one.
What was the...
We did predictions
Cell.
for...
Huh?
Hell in a Cell.
Oh, no, we did
Oh,
predictions
it was
for the
Hell in a
early
Cell,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the early one?
You're talking about...
One that was like Saturday
the Super
morning.
Show. The
Yeah.
the Super Showdown, I think that's what it was called.
You were here for that episode?
No, but you made me do predictions.
So that was the last time we heard from you in this thing.
That's the last time I talked about wrestling.
Yeah. So
Or saw anything about wrestling.
I
think I did see some Hell in a Cell.
I should probably be paying attention to this, but the Lost Art of Managers has almost hit 50 downloads. I mean, that's crazy. It's crazy to think.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. No, legitimate. That I did not realize
It's
that one was
actually
almost.
it's beating the All In episode. Like I
Oh,
don't know.
wow, really?
Yeah,
Huh?
maybe people are just like stumbling to this and not realizing it's about wrestling. Some of
I
my
ain't gonna
titles
complain.
do not.
I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah.
But let's jump into Peach Pit. Let's not hang on our statistics or anything like that. I don't want to be
By
a
mail,
self-serving
you've
podcast.
already downloaded this episode, so I don't give a fuck if they like the content.
Whoa, I do.
Take that, fans.
I do. I actually do care.
I've
Peach.
not been drinking
As-
today.
So, for those that are unaware and that have not listened to our other Peach Pit episodes, this is basically a forum where we open the show up to Peachy to kind of ask questions that he has as the filthy casual of the bunch for wrestling. You know, what does he want to know? Get two veterans of the industry, Restpass and myself,
Yes.
get our opinions on whatever comes to his mind. So, Peach, let's start us off with a big first question. What do we got? What do we want to discuss about from your side? What are you just dying to know?
It has to be wrestling related, please.
That was never agreed upon. So we were on the topic of talking about fantasy football before we started here. Is there any way we could have like a different way to engage in wrestling? Like a fantasy football type setup where you could draft, your roster and then wins, losses, whatever, by moves or points system. Would there be a way to do that, to set that up?
That's a good question.
I think they tried that before.
Did they try that?
Didn't they call that like TNA's championship rankings or something? Wasn't
Did
that
they-
stupid
TNA?
fucking thing where they got points for every win or if they hit somebody with a chair? I mean, it
I
was
don't
that
remember.
stupid thing they did. I'm kind of
Are you
kidding
talking about
in that
TNA
response.
or WWE?
TNA. Remember they
I
did
don't
like
remember.
the championship rankings, and like
Is this where like the fans got to vote or something? And
I
then,
don't know.
like,
They did
whoever
some
was the
weird
number
shit.
one. So Peach, are you just basically saying like a pro wrestling fantasy league?
Yes. Like, if another way to engage with professional wrestling.
So, are you talking now just as a random person? What the hell? Who deserves to be inducted? Okay. But
I was trying not to talk about it.
what the oh god, I sound like an idiot on the mic. Now you threw me off. No, so Peach, are you talking about like something officially licensed by WWE? Like you go to WWE.com and go to your fantasy football or fantasy wrestling page and see how your roster's doing for the week? Or are you talking about like a third party, like an ESPN, for example, hosting it?
I would want to say ESPN, but because I feel like they would both find a way to monetize or whatever off of it.
Yeah, they would do ads. I don't know if you could. It'd be weird. I don't know, because I don't know how you would keep points. So now, RestPass, you might know this more than I do. Have you done because haven't you done NASCAR fantasy leagues and things like that?
I think actually when fantasy sports became big at one point, me and my dad were in a fantasy fishing league. I'm being dead serious about this. It was awful.
I'm not. But I think
they exist. They're never going to be as popular as fantasy football, and I think that's the same thing with wrestling. It's up for debate on which one is scripted more. Professional sports or wrestling, but wrestling does not give you the full belief that it's real. In that sense, where the fantasy thing I think would be tough, depending on how you score it. Wins and
what's your
losses
scoring
would be
system?
really tough to score it that way. So then it's almost like quality of match.
And how do you determine quality?
Yeah, exactly.
Eh,
And I'm saying for it to be a completely legitimate thing, the only thing they can't fully script is quality of match if you figured out a real way to level it. Because every pay-per-view, every guy's going out there and trying to have a really good match. So it would probably be way too complicated to ever get big enough. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. And anything that's simplistic is way too easy to fix.
Yeah, and like I don't know like how you're like you could do something to where you do like a fantasy roster, like you pick a roster over a year, and do like just do wins and losses or something like that. And like you can even make like if you're doing officially WWE, you could maybe even tie in house shows and things like that in order to kind of help those numbers out. But the thing is, I don't think WWE wants you to know a wrestler's win-loss record, because I always thought it'd be really cool if on like every wrestler's stat page it would have their win-loss record. But in WWE and in pro wrestling, for the most part, wins and losses really don't count. They don't matter. Because, like, look at Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, I don't remember, like, prior to Matt Hardy, the last time Bray Wyatt won a match, I think, was at the Elimination Chamber when he won the WWE title. And I don't think he's really won since then. And even before that, he really never won. And his character is still great. People still get excited to see him. He still seems intimidating, even though he probably has a terrible win-loss record. I like. Do you do points? Like, do you actually have the person like for a scoring system? Do you have like, if Finn Balor hits a sling blade, is that 3 points because it's his signature move? And then if he hits
signature move versus like a
what's
power move, like.
But then what? How do you determine those things? And like, here we go. For an example, when Rollins had to stop using the curb stomp and he switched over to basically the pedigree, is that now his finishing move? When is that split determined that he says, okay, this is now my finishing move, and it's...
Talking about this is funny, purely because I don't think I ever talked to you about this. I had, I think, well, at least me and you did, and maybe we talked about this in the group. I had mentioned about doing a Field of 64 March Madness type thing, right?
Yeah.
Where we were going to vote. The three of us were going to vote, and we were going to have people put submissions in, and then, whoever kind of guesses the same amount right as us wins something. We'll do something like that. And I know we still plan on it, but my intention was actually to do something like this. It's funny that we're talking about it, and I could not figure out the best way to do it. Was to do some type of weekly or monthly little thing and just keep track. And it wouldn't just be us doing it. It would be people against us too. But yeah, that's the tough thing. Do you give points for interview time? Like, does that count just as much as a match? Does disqualifications count, against them? As wins and losses really matter? Because at that point, you're not going to pick up Bray Wyatt almost ever. But if you're going off quality of match, maybe his matches are better than somebody else who's winning constantly.
Or even like a promo time. Like, he gets 3 points if he's on TV, and Bray Wyatt does a segment every week, and he only wrestles at the pay-per-view or something like that. Yeah.
I was thinking, because, like, before fantasy football, like, pretty much watched the Eagles and stopped. Like, it made me more invested in the other people, the other lesser-known people in Philadelphia. Like, a better way to engage, like, with
like today, for example,
underdogs.
Like today, for example, fantasy football. Eagles were on. There's no way in hell you're putting on Cleveland Browns versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But you're watching that game because you got Baker Mayfield and what's a tight end's name?
David
Novak?
Njoku
on your fantasy team, and all of a sudden you care about that game. Especially when it's down 23-23 and they're going for, they send it into overtime.
Yeah.
Did they send it into overtime?
Yes.
Who ended up winning that game?
Tampa. Tampa's kicker missed a field goal, and then he hit like a 59-yarder to win it in overtime.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I had Baker Mayfield on the bench. God damn it.
So, but yeah, I see what you're saying there, to where you're now, because of fantasy football, you are more invested in these other games. to where if you do something with professional wrestling fantasy, you'd be more invested maybe in other promotions if you do kind of widespread things like that. But again, I don't think you have a really great way of keeping points short of just win-loss.
And that's what we got to figure out. In January next year, we will be doing an apron work
I thought
podcast.
it was March.
Well, no. Starting in January, we're going to do a full season, which is January to December.
No, it's not. A full season is WrestleMania to WrestleMania.
Our full season starts in January.
That's dumb.
But the season, first of all, technically, wrestling season
Royal
does
Rumble is
not
the playoffs.
End.
No,
it does not end at
if
WrestleMania.
you listen,
want to get technical.
if you listen to the way they talk on that WrestleMania, they always basically say that Monday Night Raw is the new season of WWE.
The next pay-per-view is all rematches for WrestleMania. You literally can watch WrestleMania
I'm
light
just
at the
saying,
next pay-per-view.
I'm just saying.
So
that,
we're
that's
doing
what
this
they
at
say.
WrestleMania. We're starting
WrestleMania
this.
to WrestleMania.
Let's figure
That's a
this
season.
out.
Our season.
For all like 12 of you that listen to this episode, let's come together. Let's figure out a scoring system, and we will do it. All right, Peach. Will this get you invested into watching it?
Probably.
Yeah,
not.
it would probably.
Literally, Melvin Gordon's in his starting lineup today, just for reference.
That's because I overslept.
Yeah, well, what happens if there's a New Japan show going on at 5 a.m.?
Then I got to do it the night before, don't I?
Listen, you had a hard enough time getting up at 9:30 in the morning to pull Melvin Gordon from your lineup. All right, I have no faith in you whatsoever that you're going to follow a New Japan card to know that somebody is not wrestling.
I want to do this just the three of us. I just want to do this the three of us. We're definitely doing this. I'll figure something out. It'll be ready for WrestleMania.
Yes.
Angelfire.com.
Yes.
/ Even Work Podcast.
Some of them still work. Some of those old
God.
Angel Fire.
I don't want to look at them.
I mean, I don't know if it still does, but I know I'm going to say about a year ago I found a lot of them.
So,
all right,
that's a good question, Peach. It was a very interesting conversation with it. Just as a side note, since you said fantasy football, I just want to call out in both of my leagues. I'm in both of them with Peachy. I'm 5-1. Second in points in the league. That me, Respass, and Peachy are all in. Because you know what? My team name, best in the world. What can I say?
what's that referencing?
Nothing at all. Just as this is random, I for some reason got into a CM Punk MMA kick this weekend. I watched his second fight in Chicago. I watched what else? I watched a bunch of his interviews, especially after the trial was finished.
I already
forget
assumed you did this on a daily basis anyway.
And then I was watching his promo, his contract signing promo before I watched the Money in the Bank 2011 match. And this was just bored, I think, on a Friday night and Saturday night. So, for whatever reason, I was in a big CM Punk kick this weekend. All right, so I thought somebody else was going to talk there. So,
Well,
Peach,
I'm on Angel Fire right now.
is this what we're looking? I saw them. I was going to pull them up afterwards.
Oh my
Daniel
God.
Tomlinson was the high scorer.
Hold on.
What?
Even
9,
better.
2005,
Oh,
2006.
Look at the
Rest
last
pass
one.
is tight.
Look at the last one.
Oh God, the stickball league. You found the stickball league stats? Oh my God.
Oh, that was old school graphics. I'm sorry. We're talking about websites that nobody can see.
Peach.
If you really want to see a flash in the past, hold on.
Wait. Most of our listeners probably are
Yeah.
have
So
been
for
to
those of
these
you
sites.
that know us, and those of you that don't, you want to see really old school, like high website design from 2003. Go to www.angelfire.com/PA5/stickball without the C. So it's STIKBALL. Go there. It's crazy. It is crazy the amount of work I put into web design way back in 2003.
Jesus Christ, my team. The Wizard Links, Dave Petrowski, Vinny Salmentino, John Stokes, and me. Oh my God.
All right. I will put the link
Yo,
in the
this is-
description for those of you
this
that
is-
want to see it.
Well, nice batting average.
Yeah, well, here's the team of the year: Bauman, Roy, Coyle, and Culver.
I got
Oh,
traded.
man.
I was on that team.
Culver has been on this show, and Roy is going to be on an upcoming show at some point.
I got traded for Jer that year. For Culver.
All right,
Yeah.
I might actually. That wouldn't be a bad trade right now on this podcast, if we're being honest.
That's fucked
All right,
up.
so let's move along. We'll reminisce after this. So, Peach, what's your next question?
With like the first season of the Overwatch League like finishing, is there any way to do like a wrestling esport?
Yeah, I mean, you could do. They have right now they have the 2K19 tournament or it's like, it reminds me of, remember when, and RestPass, you might remember this. Remember, I don't know if it was the show or it might have been 2K's version of baseball when they had it. It was the no-hitter challenge where you got $1 million.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the first person to throw a no-hitter. And I forget which game it was. You got $1 million, and you had to like do it online on a certain difficulty and things like that. Well, they're doing something similar with you have to beat like a golden AJ Styles or something like that, and then you get a chance to play AJ Styles in the game. And if you beat him, I think you get $1 million or something like that. Could you do an esports? Sure, why not? Like I think actually, I think Xavier Woods does something online on Up Up Down Down, where I think it's the computer, but he usually does like a pay-per-view, like Evolution he'll probably do, to where all the characters will wrestle on. He'll have them wrestle in the 2K version of the game, and then just show the matches on his YouTube channel. But yeah, you could. I don't think it'd be as good as Overwatch.
Yeah, I don't think it could ever be. I mean, I don't think it could be at that same level. I know like basketball has theirs, and I've watched that, and it's pretty interesting. But like there's the fan base for like the NBA as opposed to wrestling. At least those who even watch any like NFL games, NBA games, whatever, compared to who watches Monday Night Raw, it's so different in the amount of people that watch it. And now you're going to try
like the Venn diagram of people that play video games and watch wrestling probably has more in it than the people that watch football and play video games.
I don't know about that. Is there a higher percentage of wrestling fans that play video games? Yeah, I'm sure. But I think still, even with football...
I would disagree with that.
What?
A higher percentage of wrestling fans that play video games. I think I could disagree with that.
No, I think there's more football fans. There are more total football fans that play video games as opposed to wrestling fans that play video games. But when you look at percentage to fans,
I would. The only reason why I could say that's up there is I can like a majority of football fans, because there's probably more from a percentage base. You're playing Madden, you're playing NBA and things like that, to where they're not hardcore gamers, to where they're not jumping into Overwatch or League of Legends or WoW or anything like that. But
that's not the point, though. We're talking about the difference of watching Madden being played as opposed to wrestling being played. We're not talking about a full gamer. I'm not talking about the full gamer. I'm talking about somebody who plays video games. If you play Madden a lot and that's all you play, you're more likely to watch an esports about Madden.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I'm talking about somebody who purely plays video games. I think the percentages are probably higher for wrestling fans when you compare all wrestling fans to wrestling fans who even just play wrestling video games. I'm not talking about hardcore gamers. I'm talking about somebody who plays wrestling video games. Because you can play Overwatch all the time, be a wrestling fan. Why the fuck do you want to watch a league on wrestling if you never played a game? You don't care.
Yeah.
You know. Most people who I doubt somebody who's never played Overwatch is sitting there watching Overwatch League. I'd say that number has to be very low on people who's never ever played Overwatch.
Who's interested in it?
Yeah,
interested.
When
in
I
it,
say
yeah,
never
okay.
played, I mean they have no interest in it. I'm not saying they have to own the game and play it every week. I've watched the Overwatch League. I haven't played it that much, but I have a general interest in it. So obviously, I've at least played it once or twice before. And that's my point. Is you're not going to catch somebody who's a huge wrestling fan, never has played a WWE game or a wrestling game ever, because they think it's boring, is going to sit down and watch two people play a wrestling game.
Yeah. Would a wrestling game's like match time keep somebody interested, like better than a full game of Madden? Like a full game of Madden can be an hour long, but like a wrestling match you can have done in 10-15 minutes. Would that make it more viewer friendly?
Well, I think the way around that, and the NBA does the same thing, I think they only do 5-minute quarters. So it doesn't ever really end up being like an hour, really. I mean, it could be. I don't know that there's that much interest in it. I don't know. I could be wrong, Walt. If you...
I would not actively watch a pro wrestling or an esport on 2K19. I would not actively watch it. Maybe I would watch one on was it Fire Pro? Like I would pick up and watch a little bit of the videos, but I would not be as heavily invested in it as I was in Overwatch League. I own a Philadelphia Fusion jersey. That's how invested I was in that.
And I'm actually going to continue to compare this to the NBA's version of the league, because I don't ever expect football to get as big as even what the NBA's league is. There's a difference when, like, in an Overwatch League, there's strategy, right? To the players being picked, and they draft guys who, they're good at one thing.
And whatnot. Yeah. DPS, healer, tank. Yeah.
The NBA thinks the same thing. They did drafts. They try to find their point guards. They try to find their 3-point shooters. They do all that stuff. Madden, you can't really do that with that game, because I don't know what they're up to now, but I'm assuming tops you can probably get a 3-on-3, 4-on-4 out of that game. I don't think you can play 11-on-11 on that, and I might even be overestimating. It might still only be 2-on-2 tops is what you can do, and I don't know how fun that is for anybody to watch. And I think it comes the same way with wrestling. Like, you draft a team, you're drafting a bunch of people who are all, half the people are going to have the same moves, I don't know. I don't know if there's a whole lot of strategy involved, and that's what I think is just as interesting with the E-leagues,
But even with like a Madden one, like, I don't need to see 2-on-2. I don't need to see more people. I'd be happy with, like, I like 1-on-1 watching Madden 2 people play. Like, 2 people, like, you have 32 teams. You just draft your team, like how we've always done our Madden drafts. Like, that's interesting enough with just one person.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where as the year goes on, like, if one team is stacked from the beginning, now you're screwed for that whole league. Where I think there are moves that can be made in Overwatch, and again, I'm using basketball for an example, where, they draft like 8 guys, but they're playing their best 5, but if they need more 3-point shooting, they sub a guy in. It's all their creative players, but it's just a 5-on-5. That's what basketball is. So there's not 11 guys out there in the field, and I understand what you're saying, Walt. And I used to be interested when they would do the those things on, was it ESPN? Like, you'd watch at like 3 o'clock in the morning, the little where they go in the Madden van, they go to different cities and stuff like that, and that was awesome. But you know why it was awesome? Because you got to see about 15 minutes of gameplay, and that was it. They skipped through everything. They didn't show you the full game. They used to jump. They jumped at like big plays and stuff like that, and that's all you've really seen. I don't know that you would be able to sit there and pay attention to it and follow 53-man rosters on every team and be like, ooh, I wonder who's got Sammy Watkins on their team. Like, I don't know. I think it would just end up being confusing.
Yeah, I don't think it would. I wouldn't watch it. I would not actively watch it if it was announced today. Whereas, like the Overwatch League, I had people over my house for not the inaugural game because it was on a Thursday, but the inaugural weekend of it. As a side note, so Peach, we're going to go into your next question in a minute. RestPass, all these web pages you sent over of fantasy football stuff, I'm not in any single one of them, so thank you for being a great friend and including me in these.
I've invited each and every one of them.
According to the Stickball League one, my batting average was so low, it doesn't look like I was a part of that either. So, Peach, what is your next question, comment, thought, anything like that? What do you got? What do you want to hard hit? These are good questions. These are very relevant, very topical. Actually, hold on. Before you go into the next one, would you watch a wrestling? Follow-up. Would you watch a wrestling esport?
It would have to depend like how they do it.
Okay.
Like, I bet you tournament style stuff would be more fun. You get one guy, you play him through, and best of 32 or whatever, and you just kind of tournament style and play. Just see who the best is, and like, I could see like doing it with wrestlers, doing it with celebrities, like that could be fun to watch, and like the ball busting camaraderie type stuff. I think that would be amusing. But I don't know if they'll have like a setup for how to do it, like a point style thing, like for the fantasy football. Like, would there be there'd definitely be stats for it, but I don't know what's there for esports yet.
All right, fair enough. All right, what is your next question?
Do you guys have any like idea or whatever to keep people more interested in wrestling, like fantasy football, like something like that?
What, like to get people to watch like the product, like
yeah? How do you get people to be more engaged as a wrestling fan?
So,
more reality TV?
Well, so I was going to... So this was going to be something I was going to bring up to us at some point. I wanted to do and I think it ties into this question that you're asking. I wanted to do a whole episode on sports entertainment versus professional wrestling. Like, just kind of the discussion points on the differences, what makes it sports entertainment, what makes it more wrestling, what do we look for, how do you kind of balance that out? I think in order to get a more casual fan into wrestling, you go the sports entertainment route and you entertain them. You start them off at like a WrestleMania. I think that's the easiest way to get someone in, like someone new off the street into wrestling.
Over NXT?
Yes. Because you have to think it's somebody, like, you can't necessarily show somebody, like, I know we did a whole episode on what matches would you start people off watching wrestling to kind of get them into it, and we all picked our different matches, and all those are valid, but I really think part of it is you have to draw them in with something that they can relate to. So, the reason why I bring up WrestleMania is you can get a couple mixes of, like, good matches, so, like, this past one, you had Asuka versus Charlotte, but then you could tie them in with Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey was wrestling, and that's a name that probably a everyday person knows, and they're somewhat already invested in, possibly. If not Rousey, you have performances at WrestleMania. So, like, Pitbull, who's the other guy? Flo Rida. Like, these guys perform at Kid Rock performed at a WrestleMania. But even, like, so, you could say, hey, Kid Rock's performing at this. You can see him do a quick performance on TV, and it can draw them in, and then they can somewhat be interested in it, and then that maybe lead them into watching every week, or like the celebrity guest host and things like that. Even though from a wrestling fan, I don't like those as much, I understand the need for them, how they have to draw someone in order for them to relate to it. And then once they're in, like once they're kind of watching it and they kind of have an idea of like, oh, I really like this guy. Then you go, oh, you like that Shawn Michaels guy. Let me show you this match that he did a few years ago against this guy called The Undertaker. And then you just explain that he's a dead man who digs holes and takes souls, and just say, don't ask questions about it. He's the greatest of all time. Just watch. Raspass?
My response is, if I knew a way to do it, they would know a way to do it. I don't.
Do you kind of agree with?
Well, I'm gonna say, I had this conversation with Jess actually yesterday. Jess, my fiance, that's who she is. We were talking about it, and I was super excited because I had just watched the last 3 episodes of NXT. I usually get a little bit behind, and I try to watch them back to back. And I love the way that the last episode of NXT left off with Aleister Black in the middle of the ring, and Nikki Cross. He comes out in the middle of Nikki Cross and Bianca Belair's match, and I'm like, this thing has been great. This whole who attack Aleister Black. They've done it perfectly on NXT, perfectly, and I'm going on and on about it to her, and I'm just telling her like how awesome it is and stuff. And she's just looking at me like I don't care, and I tell her, I'm like, she was like, I just lost track of wrestling. I'm like, you have to watch NXT, you have to watch it. Her response was, well, I just don't know any of the people. She says she stopped watching around when CM Punk left. She said all the people, they leave too quick, was the response I got, and I said, what are you talking about? The guys have been there for a while now. And she said, yeah, well, they fire people and hire them. I said, no, they're starting new shows, all this other stuff. So I go on, I try to use anything I possibly can. I show her a little clip between, I'm assuming you've seen this. It was an interaction between Ciampa, Velveteen Dream, and Nikki Cross. It's perfect. Perfect. Yes. It was awesome. So I show her it, and she was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, she's never seen Nikki Cross before. She's saying like, oh, that. I love how they have, she's not out in a skimpy outfit. Like, she's playing the crazy character really good. That's awesome. And I said, yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is, wrestling. This is what NXT is all about. And she said, yeah, but I don't really care. Like, that was the response I got. I'm like thinking, I did everything I possibly can to try to bring you back into wrestling. It's like, Stone Cold and The Rock's not there. I don't care. And it sucks. It sucks. Because most people watch wrestling, I don't think because they enjoyed it. They watched wrestling because it was the it thing at the time. They watched it because Stone Cold, The Rock, NWO, DX were huge. They were all huge. Them going one up on each other and doing the way they had to, WCW trying to compete with WWF at the time, WWE. It was so mainstream at that point that it was the cool thing. It's not anymore. And until it becomes the cool thing again, I don't know that you can. I don't think most people were wrestling fans. They wanted to watch because everybody else was watching. And that's you have to get to that point. I don't know that you can sit here and show anybody the greatest matches ever in the last 5 years, and it's going to change most people's opinions on it. Unfortunately.
I agree. But like I said, I think, and like this is where, Mike, you might agree with me. Like, if you have those small factors that can draw people in, like I think that's what WWE tried to do when they were doing the guest host spot. A few years ago, to where it's like Freddie Prinze Jr., Bob Barker, all these like random Shaquille O'Neal. It kind of, it's like, okay, I know this person from other things I'm enjoying in life. Let me see what they're doing here is good. And like, listen, they did it with All In too. Like, just not to talk about, or even New Japan did it too. Like, All In, they did Stephen Amell. And like, listen, Stephen Amell it's a very niche market for him, just because like the only 2 things I know him from are Arrow and he was in the Ninja Turtles movie as Casey Jones. So, and probably a lot of those fans are already wrestling fans. Or already know that he's done wrestling before and have already made their decision whether or not they're going to watch it. New Japan slowly tried to do it with, like, Chris Jericho. Not in the same way, but in a way it's like, okay, I'm just a WWE fan. Oh, Chris Jericho's doing this other thing with New Japan. Let me watch his match over there and see what it is, and let me see if I like it, and just drew myself in there. I think that's the way you can do it to get people to watch. But it's also a fine balancing act because, again, when Raw was doing the Raw guest host spot, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was so annoying.
Yeah,
and you drew away your pre-existing fan base that just wanted to watch wrestling. It drew them away from it because they didn't want to see that shit.
There are two things that they can do. The one is something related to the guest host spot, but you need relevant people. You need currently relevant people. You don't need Conor McGregor in 5 years from now when he's nothing. You needed him 3 years ago when he was the hottest fucking thing. That's when you needed him.
Or you need Dave Bautista, which I don't like. It like him coming on SmackDown. Dave Bautista is the one that said, "I want to still wrestle." And
first of all, that's happening at WrestleMania. Batista Triple H has happened at WrestleMania. That little interaction they had on SmackDown, that's happened at WrestleMania.
So good.
What they should do is have the rest of the cast come out with them. Have them interact in the show at some point. Have Chris Pratt, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper. I don't care if they're not the actual characters. Have them come out. Those guys, that's what I'm saying. It's more relevant. Not Bob Barker when, he's not attracting anybody. I know you know the name, but he's not relevant. At the time when he was a guest host, he's not like, he's just not relevant to the crowd they're trying to bring in.
To WWE's point, they attempted it with The Rock, and it failed because The Rock didn't promote the WWE the way they were expecting him to. He was the champ, and he was going on the talk shows to talk, I think, Fast and Furious. I forget what movie he had coming out at the time. I think it was Fast and Furious. But he never brought the title with him. Yeah. And WWE expected him, figured, okay, he's a title, he's going to promote WrestleMania, and he barely talked about it.
See, and that's the bad thing, is a lot of people, they bring them on to promote their stuff without the reciprocation of them going somewhere else promoting their appearance on wrestling.
Yeah.
It's almost used as like a Tonight Show to some of these actors. Like, ooh, I can promote my movie. Ooh, I can promote this. But WWE needs the influx of people to watch them promote it. And they're not outside on radio shows saying, oh, I'm going to be on Raw, next week. Like, that's not a big thing that's happening. But that's where it's not, they're not relevant. The stars they're putting on there are not relevant enough to draw the numbers that they're trying to get. And then you have a lot of repeat fans, because some people are fans. There are stars out there that are fans, but they come on it all the time, and it's just not grabby enough. That's one. They need more relevant stars while they're relevant. Two, and this would probably alienate their current fans, at least half of them, if they found some way to work with these other promotions. Because now you're bringing in the WWE haters that don't watch WWE but are wrestling fans to say, if my guys that I love outside of WWE might show up at a WrestleMania or might start a storyline, if Kenny Omega might start a storyline with Seth Rollins, I might want to watch that, because Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks might run in and take out Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose one night. You have that possibility of something happening, and now you have WWE fans paying a little bit more attention to the outside shit. You have that crossover, but then you're alienating the WWE fans that don't know who the fuck Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are. So there's another fine line in that, where the
that's
outsider
the same-
fans, you might draw more numbers, but it's already current wrestling fans. You know,
In the short run.
in the
Because
short
you
run,
might,
if you
you
don't,
might show WWE
Well,
fans
so here's
oh
what-
look, there's better writing and better fucking wrestling elsewhere.
Well, here's what's going to happen. This like you do something like that. If WWE cross promotes with other talent, we'll just say Ring of Honor. We'll do New Japan because Bucks and Omega are fully all in New Japan. New Japan and Omega, the Elite come over to WWE, do a 6-man tag match with the Shield at, we won't say WrestleMania, we'll do Survivor Series. Like a 3-on-3 Survivor Series type match. You then have WWE fans who are, oh wow, I really liked that match and that build up and who these guys were. Let me go watch New Japan. New Japan's numbers start spiking. Now, what I really don't think you'll have happen is in that situation is New Japan say, let me start watching WWE to see if any more of the guys, watch WWE in case Okada shows up. I don't think you would have that. I love the idea, and I would love that. Like, for All In, I would have loved if you had the Elite come out and do an open challenge. Omega and the Bucks. They didn't have scheduled matches, and it was just an open challenge that they did, and New Day came out. Like, I think that would have been the tops. Like, that would have been probably one of just... If they got that together, and I think it would have helped it would definitely helped the wrestling business as a whole.
see, and that's
But it wouldn't be a direct impact to WWE, I think, or like...
not initially. Not initially. If they've shown that it was going to happen, and let's say Okada comes out in New Japan and calls somebody out on WWE, now you're like, oh shit, is Okada going to cut? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're going to pull all the fans over. You're always going to have the hardcore WWE fans that don't want anything to do with the rest of it and they don't give a fuck. And it's the same way the other way around. But that little bit of cross promotion, that little bit of what if, it puts a little bit...
I think it would keep... Oh, go ahead,
no, I was just going to say, it puts a little bit more intrigue into it. And I think that sometimes wrestling's too predictable, especially WWE. And I think that's what hurts their ratings at times, is you're like, why am I going to watch this? I don't care. There's 6 weeks until a pay-per-view. Like, this is not doing anything for me. I'll read the results.
Right. I think it would keep WWE more honest. Like, it needs competition. So, like, it needs something else to compete against it for it to get better.
Yeah.
And, like, because it's been the only person on the block for the past 10 years, like... I think, like, it has drastically gotten worse. Like, it's definitely changed for some things for the better, but, like, on a whole, the story writing's garbage. The booking, everything's short run. Like, nothing is planned out long. I think, like, a cross-promotion with New Japan Pro, like, how many people are going to get up at 5 a.m. and take away from WWE's fan base? Not many, but, like, it'd be good to keep WWE honest.
I think probably this whole community that even listens to us and out of there would all agree that cross promotion, but like to allow WWE guys to wrestle elsewhere and that cross promotion new guys come in would be amazing for the business overall. And I think that's where you would get a really big resurgence. I think that's how you would get a lot more bigger fan base, for the wrestling side of things.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I've read this somewhere before where somebody said the way you save Survivor Series is you make it NXT against WWE. You know, you don't make it Raw against SmackDown, you make it NXT against WWE. And it's funny to say this because NXT is WWE. But
yeah,
there are people that, I'm one of those people, I don't really watch Raw and SmackDown. Even if I did not work an overnight job, I don't know that I would. But I have to watch NXT. I have to. And if you're telling me that the Undisputed Era might pop up on Raw, there's a chance they might pop up on Raw, I'm more likely to be like, I gotta pay attention to Raw. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it, but I gotta pay attention to it. And on the flip side of just the Survivor Series thing, Adam Cole wins the Royal Rumble next year. Adam Cole wins the Royal Rumble next year. He's still a current member of NXT. He's not on Raw and SmackDown. He wins the Royal Rumble, and he's still on NXT. He don't show up on Raw and SmackDown. That little shit right there, and it doesn't have to be NXT. Let's say WWE, the UK NXT. Let's say 205 Live guy wins the Royal Rumble. Right there, you're like, what? It's not Roman Reigns again? You know, they brought The Rock back for the Royal Rumble. He didn't win it. It throws that little bit of like, are they really changing things up for the better here? Like, because you're not predicting it. You're not saying it. You went nuts, Walt, when Adam Cole came out in the Royal Rumble, right? Could you imagine if he had won that? Could you imagine if he had won that and then stayed in NXT? You'd be like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
And he competes for a title. I don't care. AJ Styles' first match of the night at WrestleMania. And he puts on a long match and just stays in NXT. He failed to win his cash in. And he stays in NXT. But now you're like, these random guys that they throw in the Royal Rumble, they might win it. It throws that little bit of doubt. And I think when you start getting that, it makes it more interesting. Sometimes predictability is a very good thing. But most of the time it's not. And wrestling fails more times than not with their predictable storylines and stuff like that. So,
what's going to have to change for, like, is it just Vince giving up the reins for anything to change? Or do we have to just wait until Vince is
dead?
Well, I don't think it'll be him dying. I think he'll go, I'm done.
No, Vince will work until the day he dies.
Yeah.
From the way everything I've heard about his work ethic, he is working until the day he dies. I don't want to say that. WWE just has to have a different philosophy, and I think Triple H gets that.
I think if anybody's going to cross promote, it's going to be Triple H. I actually think what they're doing right now is building competition from within. And I think that is way more Triple H than Vince McMahon. I think 205 Live, I think NXT, I think UK NXT is more the brainchild of Triple H and the more execution of Triple H than Vince. And they're not real competition, but it is creating inner competition within itself. And if that's the way they're going to do it, it might work. But I think them signing all these guys, and I know the network has a lot to do with it. They have the time to do it, but all these guys being brought in, I think, is a little bit more Triple H than Vince. And I just think he gets it. And maybe when he has full reigns, it might be a different story. I would hope that he continues to go down this path when he has full reigns.
Yeah. Good question, Peach. Good question. You need to not prepare for these episodes more often.
Yeah.
I try.
You don't try. Let's go with one more question, because I'm looking at the time we've been recording.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too crazy. Let's go with one more big question.
What do you guys want from SmackDown on Fox?
Ooh. All right. Well, I want to talk about this anyway, so I'll jump right on this.
I think that's where Peachy got it from.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, he Googled wrestling, and that popped up, this rumor.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this rumor.
What's the rumor?
The rumor, for those of you that don't know, is that Fox apparently is asking for more sports out of their wrestling because they're going to move SmackDown to Friday night. And now with their deal with having football on Thursday night and then their Sunday, it's kind of they expect Thursday to kind of Sunday to be their sports, and they're going to have it in the sports slot, and they want more sports out of it, is the rumor. Now, we just got done saying how Vince likes his hand in everything and he's a workaholic, and is he going to be okay with this? Because Vince likes fart jokes and comedy storylines, and Fox wants less of that, apparently. I find it funny that Fox basically bought this, and then now they're like, no, we want more sports out of this. But in defense of them, SmackDown is the more legit wrestling show. I mean, I know R-Truth has his segments every week, but for the most part, it's a little bit more of the wrestling show than Raw is.
I thought, so real fast, the episode, the 1000th episode of SmackDown, I didn't think it was that great of a episode,
Right.
but I think that was the perfect mix of what Fox would want. It balances both sides to where you have the wrestling aspect of, you had Usos versus Bryan and Styles, you had Rey Mysterio versus Nakamura, which, by the way, was probably better than the 3 Nakamura versus Styles matches. And it got rushed because of time constraints and things like that. I've loved it. Rey Mysterio, like, I've seen him in the other promotions in New Japan, wrestling, so it's not like I haven't seen him wrestle in 3 years, but he looks so smooth. He looks the best he's been in years. And like that match was Nakamura was phenomenal. What else? There was another match. Oh, the tag team title match with the Bar versus New Day.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good match. Like, and I think if this is what the rumor is, I think basically you would replicate that every week, and I'd be fine with that.
Right. Yeah.
Did Vince come out and talk on SmackDown 1000?
Yes.
I wonder who predicted that and was told no by the 2 other people on this show.
Wow, Pete, you are just a...
Did you predict that? I thought you said The Rock was going to show up. I thought that's what we got into the argument
No,
about.
I said Vince was going to come out and talk.
You said The Rock was going to come out and talk.
Yeah, I don't...
No, I said
Oh,
Vince.
we got to re-listen to this, because I'm
you
pretty sure
re-listen
we
to
both
it.
said no to The Rock. That was the
I said
argument.
Vince.
You said The Rock because it's The Rock show. It's SmackDown. That's what you said.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with...
I may have
West
also
Panther.
said The Rock, but
The
I
Rock
definitely
was the
called Vince.
argument that we said, though. You might have said Vince in one of your ramblings, and we
And
didn't
you
listen
both-
to you. But
And
I
I
know,
said...
you both
and
said
I-
no.
And I probably... Listen, I'm not going to lie. I didn't think he was going to come out.
I was against The Rock. I may have said real quick, I don't think so, but The Rock was the one that I was more like, no way. No, it's not happening. Because then
I just knew,
we said he was in
thought,
somewhere doing a movie or something like that, and you were like, oh, they can't just charter him there? Stuff like that's happened before. So,
to your point, so Rest Pace, go back to we'll re-listen to the audio and see what that is. Just to bump up the downloads
clip it
of
in
that
at the
episode.
end, Walt.
I think that's too much comedy than what they want. I truly believe that they're going to want this to be pure wrestling. Very
More
little
NXT,
talking,
sure.
very little interviews. I think they even want more wrestling than what NXT gives you. I think, and I made the joke earlier about what TNA used to do, but I think you're going to get shit like that. You're going to get legit, like, little mini tournaments for titles and shit. Like, they're going to want it to seem more legit than it is. And they want to promote the hell out of it. They want to talk about wins and loss records. They're going to want to talk about shit like that. I think that's what's going to come out of it, and it's going to seem so different than Raw. It's not even going to seem like the same thing, and I feel like that's what Fox wants. I don't think that's what they're going to give them.
Is that what you want?
Is that what I want?
Yeah.
No,
Do you want
I
what
don't
Fox
want
wants?
them. I don't want them to treat me like an idiot and make me think that they're legitimately fighting for a title shot and he just one-upped them. I don't want wrestling to be that. I don't want it to be fully that. I'm fine with it, but I'd rather something that makes more sense storyline than who they want as champion this week, because he makes sense to be on their show. They want to have like them talk about wrestling like on their sports talk shows. Like it's legit. I'm telling you, that's what they're going to want. And I think I may have made reference to this before, that they're going to want to replace UFC. Completely.
Well, that's what they did.
Completely. They want it to be fit under their sports with everything else. And it's hard to when you have R-Truth and Carmella just out there dancing and looking like idiots. Like, I don't think that's what I don't think they're going to want that type of stuff involved. I just don't think they're going to want that. So it's going to walk a fine line because Vince is not the type person that's going to back down to them.
Do you think that that's going to be, or they're going to want it involved in a way like McGregor, was it Khabib? I forget what the guy's name was. What, to where they fought afterwards. Like, you're going to want that non-wrestling stuff, like, to be like, oh, wow, is this real?
Yeah,
type of stuff,
you can walk a fine line. I just don't. Part of me worried that they wanted to be two sports. And again, it's just a rumor. And it could be a comment that somebody made behind the scenes saying, like, we want to see how much more sports we can get into this. But, I don't know. It could technically be good for SmackDown if they have somebody else telling them, like, hey, look, we need more of this. But
I think it's just it truthfully, like, again, it's a rumor. I think it's probably just Fox just paid $1 billion for SmackDown. They're gonna give them their 2 cents on they know what they bought. Like, Fox can't honestly think and that, okay, we're gonna buy this, but we're gonna make them change it completely to follow the path that we want.
Yeah, they know who they got in bed with.
Exactly. So, but they know that because they did pay $1 billion for it, they're going to be like, hey, here's kind of what we want to see out of this. This is where we're positioning you. And these had to be, this had to be discussed during the negotiations before the contract was even bought, saying that, hey, we see this as your product. You know, we like 80% of it. Here's 20% of the stuff that we would want to change or would want to more focus on, because here's how we're going to position you as a product on our network. To where if WWE is getting primetime spotlight on the Fox NFL on Fox Sunday with like Terry Bradshaw and them guys, like, yeah, they're definitely going to want it to be more wrestling than a comedy bit.
Right.
Because those are the highlights that they're going to go. And Vince, as a smart businessman, which is, I think he is first and foremost, more than just a guy that likes fart jokes, he is going to oblige to that up to a point. He's not going to have straight wrestling match. This is dead serious 24/7 on SmackDown or whatever, or for the 2 hours or whatever it is. He's just going to maybe more sprinkle in light stuff. Or, honestly, if it's Vince, he's going to look at Triple H and be like, hey, or Fox said, like, we like what you're doing in NXT. We want to have that similar outline done on the main show on SmackDown. Vince is going to put Triple H in charge.
Yeah.
Or have Triple H be more by his side because Vince is a smart businessman.
See, because
he's going to put smart people beside him. Right.
Yeah, where Vince is always going to have the final say of, you know, who's the champion, who's, you know, what's your WrestleMania main event going to be and all that stuff. He's always going to have that final say, but I can see him using, like, a Triple H to help guide him to get him there.
Like, I'm wondering if Fox wants to be a little bit more like, look, we have whoever known on SmackDown as Baron Corbin. Like, his real, like, want to use real names, make it a little bit real in that sense. Because, like, Baron Corbin used to play in the NFL. Yeah. I don't remember his actual name. I know he's an offensive lineman. Like, I can see them saying, like, look, we want your actual athletes on SmackDown. You know? Like, we want the guys, because then they can use him. Baron Corbin is more set to be on the set of, you know, with Terry Bradshaw and Howie Long than most of the other guys. Why? Because he played in the NFL. He can speak on that. But are they going to say Baron Corbin, the old offensive lineman? Or are they going to call him by his real name? Like, I don't know.
I think they would call him by Baron Corbin.
Or the athlete formerly known as.
I don't think. They're not going to do that. They're going to call him.
Like, that's where I'm not sure.
But that's where I don't think they'd use a Baron Corbin then. They're going to use a Goldberg. They're going to use a Lesnar. Probably not Lesnar per se, but they're going to use a Lesnar. They're going to use these guys that have their real names still.
Yeah, but, like, is SmackDown going to have these guys to the point that they're going to be able to do it? You know?
Yeah, they will. Because again,
Is it going to be the A show or the B show?
Probably it's going to be the A show. It has to be. Like if the depending on the month, I think USA, it's going to be. I think it's going to be. Well, it depends on what your opinion of the A show is.
The show Roman Reigns is on.
Okay. I do. I could see. I could see Reigns because Reigns was a former football player. Didn't he go for the Vikings? Maybe.
I don't remember, but I know he played in college and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're going to have those guys to where, like, for the most part, we're talking about mid-level guys. Even Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil was a big football guy. I think he was Miami. Yeah.
But I guess that's the only thing I'm thinking. If they want to be more sports, like, are they going to acknowledge that he's using a fake name? And I guess maybe not. I know College Game Day used used Roman Reigns on there.
Big E.
Yeah, no, they're not because like anchors have stage names.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Like that's where like Jim Gardner's real name I don't believe is Jim Gardner. Like just from ABC. Like David
Boreanaz.
What the hell was the one meteorologist's name? God, what was the guy on 2.5 Men?
Sheen?
Charlie Sheen?
Charlie Sheen, and that's not his real
Carlos
name.
Estevez.
Yeah, Emilio.
He's Carlos.
Yeah. But still, though, like you have all these guys that use stage names, so using a fake name is going to be nothing new for Fox, a TV network, to have to deal with. So I do think, I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of the the guys that played in the NFL moved over to SmackDown, just to be able to, they're going to be the guys they send to the NFL on today, to just be able to talk. And Titus O'Neil, like Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin, I think they'll all be decent representatives of doing that.
Is XFL still coming back?
Yes.
Is it going to be on Fox?
No. I think Vince said he is going to have it on like a streaming platform.
Yeah, that was their hope for it. I doubt Fox could air it because of their contract with the NFL. I highly doubt that they could air something.
Their contract with the NFL is only certain days.
Yeah, but do you really want to piss the NFL off? Like that's the biggest thing. Like they got the Thursday night games and stuff. You don't want to piss the NFL off.
Wednesday night XFL.
You don't want to piss the NFL off.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have a competing football league on there. Does the NFL really want to have?
They're not even going to be played at the same time. The XFL will be played in the off season, but do you want to piss the NFL off? That makes them more money than any of this other stuff's going to. You don't want to lose the NFL because you wanted to get a little bit more wrestling in your programming.
But you're already in bed with them for $1 billion.
You're not in bed with the XFL though.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt that you don't even see that shit get promoted on SmackDown.
I could see it possibly. I actually don't. I agree with that. Just because I don't think you'll see it promoted on Raw either, because of how they're trying to separate themselves.
Yeah. But the right place would be SmackDown because it's a sports, related channel and stuff like that. You could understand it, but I could see them saying like, "Nope," the NFL being like, "No, that's fine."
Now,
but we can't have you reference it.
I could see conversation like now if Vince had a conversation with the NFL to kind of like basically they had like, hey, we're coming to Fox. We want to promote the XFL. How can we work out a deal between the NFL not getting mad? Like I'm sure conversations are happening, but natively, Fox isn't going to ruin that. Because imagine this, like Fox is inaugural season of the XFL. It's going to happen a week after the Super Bowl. Are you going to air commercials on Fox during NFL games when you have your biggest audience for the for another football league?
Yeah. Like
when this one's over, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it depends on how they're viewed. I know XFL and whatever the hell the other league is. I know we did an episode on it. And
the American Football League, is that what it was?
Whatever, the AAFL or whatever it is. I know they both kind of want to be viewed as feeder systems for the NFL. That's where their niche is going to be, is being a place in the off season where they can kind of show off to the NFL, because I think they even have the other league, I think, has contracts set up for that, where they have outs for the NFL or something like that. And I think the XFL is supposed to have the same thing. So it all depends on how the NFL views these leagues. But, yeah, I don't see them actually putting it on TV. Unless the XFL becomes the true minor league for the NFL, I don't see Fox having much to do with it.
A no, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, not bad questions. I actually, what was that question? What was the last question that we just all talked about? I honestly forget it at this
What
point.
do you want
SmackDown to
SmackDown.
be?
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I just want it to be good wrestling. I want it to be.
I want NXT on Fox.
I like NXT on the network. It gives me a reason to. Even that, I would still do it for the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I like NXT on the network because I still like it. It's my little thing. It's nobody else knows about this. It's my little wrestling show that I can watch. That
I'm just curious what the ratings would be like. That's all. I just want to see the ratings as opposed to SmackDown and Raw. That would be the only thing. Like, it would just been hilarious if they were like, "Hey, we got SmackDown here," and they're like, "Nah, we want NXT."
I think, honestly, I think the ratings would be worse than Raw and SmackDown. Still,
Really?
just because I think
If they put it Friday nights, where they're trying to put SmackDown at prime time Friday nights, and promote the fuck out of it.
You don't need cable like that. I think that opens up a lot.
I agree. I just think it still would be. I still don't think it would have the drawing power as Raw or SmackDown because you don't
And
have.
it's no longer on the network.
You don't have the big names. Like, yes, in the wrestling world, you do have the. I think there are bigger names on NXT. Adam Cole, Ricochet, EC3. Like, those are pretty big names.
I think it's
But
something
they're-
new. I think it gets people to watch it right away because it's something new to the people who don't know it exists and don't have WWE Network. It's something new, and I could see them drawing people in right away.
But then it is, like you're saying, it's something new to where on a Friday night you might not want to watch something new. Like, your Friday night might be you want to veg on the couch and watch something that you really don't have to pay that much attention to. Like you're unwinding from a long week of work. Like, do you really want to be hyper-focused on a new product, like a new wrestling product?
Yes.
And, like, try to remember some people may, some people might not. I just think it would still it might draw lower ratings. I think it's a better product, better wrestling than the current WWE, but you don't, like, again, your big name right now in NXT is Matt Riddle. Now, that would work really well on Fox because you're assuming that people have a sports background and they know Matt Riddle from the MMA side. And they know about his departure from UFC and all that shit.
Shayna
So
Baszler, another MMA name.
Is that her real name?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other two will probably be...
Jasmine Duke and I forget what else. I forget what the other one's name is. Yeah, but I don't think they're that big of a name. Like, I don't think.
Well,
like, they're
Baszler
not.
was on Tough Enough. Like, there's more exposure than just.
Was she?
Yeah.
Who?
Baszler was on Tough Enough. Not Tough Enough. Was that what was the MMA one called?
Yeah, she was on.
Yeah, not Tough Enough. It was the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Ultimate Fighter. Nah, same thing.
Either way, you're wrong, Walt. And I will talk to Fox. I'll tweet them. And I'll say, hey, cut out his deal with SmackDown. I need to prove Walton wrong. Let's put NXT on Friday nights.
And if Fox wants to come on our podcast and discuss it.
For all of you out there, for all 12 of you that are listening to this.
Are any of you Fox executives?
Yes.
I wasn't even going to go that route. I was going to say, please comment on this episode and tell Walton how wrong he is. That NXT, and I'm not saying initially, they give it like 2 months, would have... They'd be probably right there with Raw. With ratings.
If it was on Fox.
Yeah. On Friday nights on Fox. They'd be right there with Raw.
I wouldn't be surprised. I just don't. And this is not like this is. I say NXT is better than these shows. I'm just thinking more from a casual fan perspective. I have completely no relation to who all these people are. It's like getting into a new TV show.
But with Fox promotion behind it, and to Peach's point, not needing cable for it, you add in all that. I think the numbers would be right where Raw is. Whether or not Fox would be happy with that, I don't know. But I think it would. I think it would do well. I think it would do well.
I listen. I'd be legitimately interested to see. But yeah. So alrighty, nah, good questions, Peach.
Yeah.
You need, like I said earlier, you need not to prepare more.
Less preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah, less
Is that possible?
I don't.
You
even
have to
think that's
somehow
possible.
before the episode, before we record, forget the little bit that you already know. That's probably the only way you can prepare less.
I'll try. I can just come on. I think I should do like a really drunk Peach pit.
Oh my god! Yes.
Oh God, I don't want to deal with that. Like
And
I'm
have
not.
me
I would.
yell over you.
I wouldn't even be drinking, and I'm already having a headache from it.
You know what? I want you really drunk in the very first rest passes ramblings. I don't know. Couldn't think of something.
What are you doing? Your own segment?
Yes, where I ask you both wrestling related questions with a
I
drunk
can deal with
Peachy.
that. I actually don't mind that.
It's going to be a Walton versus Peachy style, where it's like a debate, and I'm going to be hearing questions.
Point, counterpoint.
Yes, that's what I want. That should
Peach
be
counter peach.
when this episode gets about 12 downloads in 3 months. Maybe that'll be the next segmented show that we do.
Can we both be drunk?
Yes, that would be preferred. Oh my god.
Can we be in the same room?
The drunk debate.
Drunk.
That's what I want. You know what you should be in the same room for? And I'm being serious because we're 33 episodes in now. When the fuck is PG getting shot with paintballs?
When we're both drunk.
paintball stuff. I got new paintball stuff. I just need to get air.
We need the drunk debate. Oh my god. You know what? I want to be
This is a
drunk
really
for that.
good idea.
I want to be drunk for it. We need to
No. I think
we need a mediator.
Yeah, we need a mediator.
Yeah, bring in like Jer. Let's bring in Culver.
No, he's bigger than me.
He won't be in the same room.
so that way me and Peachy can strangle each other.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god,
This is happening in some way, shape, or form.
This is definitely happening. This is not.
I'm perfectly fine. You know what? I that'll be the show I host. I'll start the whole beginning and everything. I will host it. I will mediate it. I want you both drunk. This is happening sooner than later too.
I'm looking like at my calendar for when I can possibly do this.
Like if we have to
'cause
somehow force it into a Saturday night, we can.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would definitely need that. I can't do a Sunday night. Job.
Yeah.
I can't go into work hungover on Monday, and my vacation days are dwindling.
All right. Well,
Pussy.
we'll figure this out.
Shut up, dude. I pay for your vacation days.
I can go into work hungover.
Yeah, I can tell. So, alrighty. So, we will keep you abridged to when that comes. I think that's the correct word.
Apprised.
Apprised. Thank you. Thanks. See,
we'll
we're
get-
Abridge is when you like shorten something.
We'll give you updates on it.
Yes.
I didn't just say that.
I like this idea a lot. Oh man! Alrighty, so Peach, Peach, you talked all show. Thank you for your questions.
Yes.
Respace, you got anything you want to finish the show off with?
I wanted to talk about Austin Aries, but forget it. Impact, you're dumb. Anybody that's seen it, it's so stupid.
It was a great match, and like I think like I get what they were trying for, and I think it just ruined it. Like it took it back to dumb booking, and even like because I don't think Austin Aries is that much of a, I get like what asshole to kind of do something like that to on TNA, like because he's pissed off about something.
Yeah, see, and I will describe real quick what happened. I don't want to talk about it, but since you're actually referring to it, at their Bound for Glory, which is essentially their WrestleMania at Impact, TNA, whatever you want to call it, the main event, which we referenced last week about some tweets that Austin Aries put that was I did not even want to read. Obviously,
he was basically talking shit on Tyra Valkyrie or something like that.
Yeah, but
Morrison's
regardless,
wife.
Him and John Morrison, for what most of you would know, his name's Johnny Impact. There, we're in the main event. Austin Aries is the champion. Johnny Impact wins after some scuffle they had the night before in their Hall of Fame induction of Abyss. Johnny Impact wins after having his finisher. Austin Aries pops right up after the 3 count. Does not show any effects of the match or the finisher, and flips off Don Callis, who is an announcer for them, but he's also known to be the new head of creative there as of late, and it just walks off, flipping off the whole crowd. It was obvious that it was not real. This whole lead up was obvious that it was not real, and it was an embarrassment the way they did it leading up to it, because they were trying so hard to make it real in the middle of a bunch of stuff that was staged. And it's tough to do that nowadays, and I know they tried, and people questioned it because Aries is known to be an asshole behind the scenes. So they picked the right person to do it, because people question it for that reason. But him doing that would have cut off his career anywhere else. He already apparently left WWE in bad terms. Now you do that to Impact, you're not getting signed anywhere. Nobody wants you anywhere, except for a low-level place that wants to bring a crowd out because say, hey, this is the only place Austin Aries is wrestling. But it just was so dumb. And then now to find out it's a storyline, because everybody finds out everything within 48 hours of shit happening. It was found out that it's a storyline. They're going to keep them away to play up the storyline. And now it just lost its effect. I mean,
I think it took away from a great match. Like, that was a really good match. And especially, like, I think we were talking about this with TNA earlier. Like, this is the revitalization that they needed. They needed to be a different product than TNA. And this is where, like, the first I started calling it Impact, not TNA. And, like, the whole pay-per-view was really good. And they also got, like, they kind of got shit over earlier because, what was it? Eli Drake was supposed to have an open challenge. And it was supposed to be Joey Janela was to come out. But instead, he got hurt really bad, and he's out of wrestling for, like, a year. And it was, James Ellsworth was the fill-in. And apparently people were pissed that it wasn't Chris Jericho, even though Chris Jericho was never, like, promoted at all to be on Impact at all. But, yeah, like, I think it was a really good pay-per-view. At least from what I've read, I watched a few of the matches. The women's match was real good. Tessa Blanchard versus Tyra Valkyrie. I just love Tessa Blanchard. I think, like, I want Tessa versus Charlotte at some point.
Yeah.
Tessa is one of probably the best women's wrestlers out there. Not even just women's, just straight regular wrestler. The other matches, I didn't know a whole lot of storylines. I didn't watch them, but then I watched Impact versus Austin just because of that storyline, just to see what did they throw out by that storyline.
Yeah.
So, who knows where it goes from here. Like, they'll probably keep Aries out probably for a couple months or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I will say. I can see Impact doing the long play with this story.
Yeah, unlike WWE that would have had him back the next night.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, with that being said, Pete, you have anything you want to add?
Nope.
All righty. No candy? What kind of candy did you eat during the show?
Airheads.
Airheads? All righty. Good choice.
Individually wrapped, fun size Airheads. The pink lemonade one's pretty fucking good.
Oh. Well, maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll get some in my Halloween basket. Alrighty. Next week, as expected, we don't have a topic yet.
It might be the drunk debate. Who knows?
I don't think I could do the drunk debate next week.
But we probably will be recording during the Women's Evolution pay-per-view, so that should be fun.
Yeah, possibly. I'm hoping for good things with that.
Yeah.
They've messed it up with the Women's Battle Royal. There's way too many. I don't think there's enough matches announced for that they could have done some fun team-ups. Like some of them I saw is like, do the Iconics versus Lay Cool.
Well, the moment they announced that like 50 women were going to be a part of this, you knew it was going to be one like really big battle royal. Unfortunately,
I'm cool with the big battle royal. I'm really cool with that. But again, like they're putting too many people into that battle royal. Asuka's in the battle royal. Come on. Like, you should have done, like, a Raw versus SmackDown thing. I saw this on, I think it was on Reddit or something like that. Do Asuka versus Ember Moon. That was a great feud.
Yeah.
You could do, I think, like, Bayley and Sasha Banks, I think, are in the Battle Royal, too. So, like, the only matches I think that are announced are you have Rousey versus Nikki for the title, Charlotte versus Becky for the title in the last woman standing match. Which should headline the show, which is, like, that build-up's been amazing.
Yeah.
You have the tag team match with Mickie James and Alexa Bliss versus Lita and Trish, which I think is a great way to go.
Yeah, I think,
instead
making
of
that
the single
tag
matches.
was it made sense. And I like the fact now, I hate it that they announced the match beforehand. I like that they announced the matches beforehand, because it kind of, it fits, it makes sense now.
This is good. Yeah, this is. I'm really actually, because then you can get the standoff between Mickey and Trish.
Yeah,
which is what I really wanted. And I think and then you'll have the
Shayna
finals
against
Sane, Kairi Sane, and then the finals to the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah,
which I know who the finals are, and that
don't ruin
should
it
be
for
a
me.
good match.
I haven't been watching the full thing, but I've been kind of skimming the results, like watching the endings of matches. So, and then I'll probably watch it when it gets down a little bit further. But yeah, don't ruin it for me.
Yeah, it's been pretty good so far. But the if you're looking at the way the bracket is set up, you can probably guess what the finals are going to be from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but I feel like there's so much more room on that card that you could have done more of these, like, one-off matches. Iconics versus Lay Cool, Ember versus Asuka, like a Raw, because that sets up a nice Raw versus SmackDown match.
Yeah.
I don't even know what else, like, you could, like, I feel like there were so many. Someone from NXT up against someone from the main roster or something like that. Do an open challenge.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I don't expect it to happen, but I'm hoping for it to happen. And this is my little prediction here, is that Shayna Baszler happens early in the night. Baszler comes out with Rousey because Brie comes out with Nikki. Rousey wins, and then Baszler turns on her. This is after Baszler lost to Shayna, and you kind of set up Baszler coming up to the main roster against Rousey. It's me hoping, but
I think that's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't.
I think they're going to end the night with Rousey celebrating, and that's
exactly
supposed to be the end of the thing. But it would be nice to see.
Yeah, I could see that happening on Raw the next night.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
Because I think then that sets up everything perfectly, because it ties up Shayna Baszler's story, and then it opens up, and then it ties her story up in NXT,
right,
and then opens her up to the main roster.
Yeah.
So, or I could see something like that happening during the Women's Championship match. I could see her attacking Charlotte to show Dom, especially since it's the last woman standing match, no DQ. You can have a wonky finish there.
Right.
It kind of, I would be pissed because it messes up that storyline, but it at least would kind of give Becky a chance at looking like a chicken shit heel, somewhat. and Charlotte still kind of looks strong because it took interference for her to lose the match.
Yeah.
But a lot of possibilities there. But I'm hoping for good things. Yeah, so I won't open it up to comments from you again because we started that 20 minutes ago, and here we still are. But thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for downloading. One of our RestPass sent me earlier, one of our WWE Hall of Fame episode has 66 downloads, which is incredible.
Yeah,
like we were
crazy.
joking about it earlier, but I'm still blown away by some of these numbers, so it's great. Thank you for downloading. We hope you keep downloading. We hope you continue to enjoy this shit show that we call a podcast.
Yeah.
But with that being said, again, thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Yep, Peachy's laughing at the awkward sign off. But I got nothing else to say, so catch you guys next week. Have a good one, guys. Later.
I want SmackDown to bring back chair headshots.
Welcome back, Peach.